Chris Sims, former NFL quarterback, on why he ranked Deshaun Watson 24th in his NFL quarterback rankings.
There's still great physical ability, right? Still has a strong arm, still moves well, maybe not like he used to, right? Because he was electric, a few years ago, moving and doing all that, right? But we talked about the 12 games, right? Still that, can make some special plays, but they're few and far between as compared to what we used to see in the old days, right? And then I think the big thing to me is he's yet to regain his groove overall as a player ever since he had his legal issues and all of that stuff that went down in Houston. He really isn't. I mean, a little bit like I just talked about with Justin Fields, he's being managed still. If you watch him in that offense and you watch Joe Flacco in the offense, you go, they were doing more offense with Joe Flacco and letting it fly. Definitely. With Watson, there was a little bit of hey, let's get him in a rhythm. Let's run a boot. Let's throw a screen. Let's run another boot. Let's run a really basic 3-step drop play that everybody learns, sophomore year in high school, right? To where I go, this isn't the same guy I used to watch in Houston where they used to go, put him in the shotgun. He'll carry the fucking team, no problem, right? Now it's I hope he can make a few plays for us and, we can justify this huge contract and all of that. But, yeah, you watch the games and you go, no, they're calling the game to go, hey, let's get Deshaun in rhythm. Let's get him throwing the ball. Let's do it that way.
Then let's welcome in Jeff Lloyd from the Locked On Browns podcast. And Jeff, I really like Chris Sims. I know prior to this year, huge believer and supporter of Deshaun Watson. There's a couple of things. One, he hadn't been healthy. That's why he hasn't gotten it on a roll. He played, 6 games last year, was it 8? They weren't consecutive. And the other thing is they're redoing the offense so that he can be the guy that they put in shotgun and say, go carry the team.
Well, some of this stuff that's being spoken is just completely contradictory. You're not going to run a bootleg with a 39-and-a-half-year-old Joe Flacco. You are going to run it with Deshaun Watson. The reason you're going to run it is because if the coverage drops on all the receivers, the same thing Chris Sims tried to say was Deshaun Watson could use his legs. The last we saw Deshaun Watson last year was the second half in Baltimore, where he was perfect after a, shaky first half is probably a fair way to assess it. And he went out and was nearly flawless in the second half and led his team to victory in one of the most difficult places to win in the entire NFL against one of the biggest rivalries the Cleveland Browns have against the team that eventually won the AFC North. To say he didn't look good is just foolish. His Tennessee Titan game was fantastic. There were some hiccups where he was injured, and then he came back for the Colt game, which we all know and now see that he was not ready to come back for. But I mean, the thing is you better have some real justifications, other than what was put out there. Look, Deshaun is obviously the lightning rod of this team. As far as A, is he even on the field? B, what is his play when he is on the field? He won more games than he lost since he's been with the Cleveland Browns. He's won more games than he's lost. And when he was with the Houston Texans and he was doing all these electric things, his last year in Houston, how did that go? Didn't go very well. Didn't go very well at all. To the point where guys like J.J. Watt apologized to him for the other 52 guys on the roster. Look, he's a lightning rod player. We all understand really the reasons why he is a lightning rod player. But the point is you were supposed to evaluate what you see. Day in, day out. It's not about anything else. It's not about having an agenda. You don't have to mention, everybody knows. You don't have to mention it. Go out there and assess what you see. But to say, they called the boot here. He threw for 300 yards against the Tennessee Titans. He went into Baltimore, absolutely just choked that franchise out, and he had a huge win for his team. It seems that the bar is different when judging Deshaun Watson. I know why. I get it. But, if your job is to be an analyst and analyze, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. And, you better make sure that you've got all your bases covered.